This Halloween, 97.5 The Rock has traded in our bags of candy for a chance to see a real live haunted house.
Oh, a haunted house. Excellent.
That's right. Join me, the Moose Man, Mama G, and Roxy Red as we broadcast live October 30th beginning at 10 p.m. and running until Halloween at 6 a.m. from the infamous Mcpike Mansion in Alton.
Oh, that's creepy.
We will also be joined by supernatural historian Troy Taylor, who has authored 104 books on ghosts, hauntings, history, and crime in America. The Clinton County Paranormal Research Group will be on hand doing a live study of the Mcpike Mansion. And to be on the safe side, we have invited Sandy Little Lizard Corva, a Native American shaman. Be sure to tune in for this live radio event beginning at 10 p.m. on October 30th. We will also be asking questions from our listeners. To ask a question, please post it on our 97.5 The Rock Facebook page the night of the broadcast.
I have many questions.
Halloween just got real at the Mcpike Mansion, and 97.5 The Rock wants in.
Yes, and we had real ghost in on that the taping of that ad. So there you go. We're doing well, getting a jump start on Halloween and getting geared up for our live broadcast tomorrow night from the Mcpike Mansion in Alton, Illinois, one of the scariest places around. And joining me right now, I've got Dustin Gable and Bob Brading from the Clinton County Paranormal Research Group. Hello, gentlemen.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm getting scared already. I don't know. I know. I mean, it's one thing to go there, and I've been scared there before, and I don't get scared that easily, but there's just something about that place that kind of creeps me out, and now we're spending the night there.
It is a pretty ominous place.
Yes,
definitely.
it is. Now, you, Bob, have been there before.
Yeah, I went there in 2001.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of fun to go back.
Oh, yeah, and Dustin, you have not been there yet?
I have not. No, I'm really looking forward to it.
New and exciting for you as well. Okay, first I want to ask you guys, I know you're both into the research. How did you get started? Bob, how did you get started in all of this?
Well, I started back in 1977, and up in northern Illinois there was a story about a giant bird that had been flying around that people had spotted. So here I am in, fourth or fifth grade, and I'm taking off on my 10-speed, and I'm going to go hunt it down and take a picture of it with my camera. And after that, I heard about my grandmother's house being haunted. It just pretty much all,
went from there?
Yeah, went from there.
So you just wanted to know more of a, just want to find out what everybody's talking about kind of thing, or?
Well, I was more interested in finding out for myself to prove that it was real.
Or that it wasn't, I guess.
It wasn't, exactly.
In a way.
Sort of get some kind of confirmation one way or the other.
Because you're slightly skeptical.
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's a good thing. That you got to have that kind of balance, I think, in something like this. You got to have someone who's a skeptic.
Yeah, you got to sort of keep an even balance on it, if you will.
Exactly. And Dustin, how about you?
Yeah, some of the houses I used to live in when I was a kid growing up, I just have strange things happen, and I always wanted to know what it was. So that kind of piqued my interest in it, and I've just kept going with it.
Kind of a personal attachment to it in a way. Maybe
Yes.
find out there's more to what was happening than just coincidence, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's so interesting, and I myself was I'm fairly skeptical. It's fun though for me. I think it's fun, and I explained a situation that happened with me at the Miners Theater in Collinsville where I saw something happen, and I think I've talked about this on the air before, and it wasn't that it scared me. I found it kind of fun. It was funny, and I had people tell me for years things happen there, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then when it happens to you, well, it's a different story. But so you've been doing this since the 70s,
yes, ma'am.
right? And Dustin, how long have you been involved in research?
It was about 82.
Yeah, so it's been quite a while for you as well. And now I know that everyone, I would assume most people by now have seen some of the ghost hunter shows and whatnot, and know, have a little idea of what you do when you go into research a site. But what kind of tools do you bring with you? What kind of tools will we be bringing tomorrow?
You want to take that? Okay, we've got a K2 meters, night vision cameras, EMF detectors, audio recorders, cameras, motion sensing equipment.
What do the K2 meters do?
The K2 meter measures the electromagnetic field in the area where you're at.
Okay, so it can tell you if it's energy from, I guess what I've seen before is they can, if there's an energy presence, they can either find out it's something like from electrical related, or if there's nothing in that area that is that could possibly be. It could be something else sending in that energy.
Well, see, a lot of people think that just because their K2 goes off that there's a ghost, but the K2 can be affected by other things like walkie-talkies, people's cell phone antennas, stray radio waves. So it's not 100% sure that just because your K2 goes off that there's a ghost.
Right.
It's not as simple as like it is on television.
Right, and that's good to know too. So you can, well, it could be this, it could be that, it could be explained in for lack of a better term, a practical reason.
Exactly.
Or
I
something.
tend to look at things more just purely scientific because in the outcome, that's usually what most people will accept.
Well, yeah, and that's good. And so we find out more and more. Maybe, some of it is, what we think is supernatural is actually scientific. I know a lot of places they say, I don't know if you've experienced this or if you talked about this, but some areas, the land or the geography of wherever you are, there's magnetic fields in the rocks, whatever the foundations of things that sometimes they think that can hold energy in, or I don't know. I saw something on that.
Well, a lot of times quartz crystal, they use quartz crystal in watches and different computing devices to store energy. So with the combination of the magnetic field, the earth,
so definitely
fields, the possibility that kind of material could store information. I mean, it's not totally out of the possibility.
No, could happen that way. And okay, so you said the night vision and the cameras and all that. What was it? Was it the EMF? Is it the same thing as a K2, or is it?
The K2 picks up electromagnetic field.
Okay, what does the EMF do then?
We have a couple different gauges. The K2 is a standard one that's got the lights that go across it. They always, they stick a quarter in it on ghost hunters to keep the button on.
Yeah.
There's also a black device that they use too that they hold up that just measures like a digital readout of the EMF field surrounding you.
Now, here's a question I have for you. Sometimes they'll record sound. And are we going to be doing some of that too, asking questions and?
Like EVP station?
Yeah, that's what I was, yeah. And you don't hear it from your ear, but they play it back, and sometimes they've heard things. Has that happened with you guys before?
Yes, quite often.
Really?
Yes, it has, yeah.
Oh.
That's usually most of the information that you get is normally their pictures or some kind of recording.
Really?
But the recording also, you have to watch that too, because whenever you're recording something, like with this station here, there's all kinds of different bands in between the frequencies that we're not aware of that could be used by the military or some other sort of establishment that we might be picking up thinking that this is, is paranormal.
Yeah,
which is not always, you got to
that.
really think about all that stuff before you go out and say, yeah, this place is haunted.
Exactly. I know a lot of people will give, say, oh, I saw a UFO. Well, you also live near an Air Force base type thing, or something like that. And sometimes they just can't be explained. But I found that interesting that there's things you're not going to pick up with your ear, but the recording devices will pick it up. What's the most interesting? Can you think about one, the more?
I got an EVP with myself, and when I was with the group Mississippi Valley Paranormal in Iowa, and we were in a house that I lived in, and I've got a video of it on YouTube called Visitors, Evidence of a Paranormal Haunting. And I've got an EVP in there that there's me and another guy talking, but just as we're talking, you hear a now.
Really?
Loud, and it almost gives you goosebumps now, but there was two people in the house, and that came out over it.
And you didn't hear it when you were having your conversation?
Two of us standing in an empty house.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Dustin, how about you? Have you had some spooky experiences along those lines?
I've had a few.
Yeah?
Like some of the local cemeteries, I like to go into those at night. And do some EVP sessions, and I've, picked up people saying hello and, people walking when nobody's moving.
Right. Oh, my gosh.
It happens.
Well, can you tell me some of the things that happened when you were younger that got you interested? Like some things that happened that you couldn't explain? When you, just things missing or moving or?
Mainly it's just been, you'll hear people talking.
Oh.
When nobody's even in the room with you.
Yeah.
When I was like 8, I had somebody who was in my bedroom talking when I used to live on the west end of Belleville. And I just kept hearing it at night, so I started recording when I went to bed, and then I'd play it back the next day when I got back home from school, and it was on there.
Oh my God, that's terrifying, especially when you're a kid.
It was.
Wow. Well, I'm glad it didn't scare you to death back then, because that would be just frightening. What are some of the around here? What are some of the more haunted places or places that you've investigated?
The only places I've investigated around here would probably be closer to Louisville and outside areas.
Yeah.
I've been to Waverly Hills and I've been to Roswell and all different kinds of places. So Around here in the local area, I'm not really sure. I have had a lot of calls about people wanting their house investigated, but being a professional, you can't really mention who they are or where they're
Oh,
at.
sure,
But,
sure. Have you had some residential findings that were,
I have a few, but like I said, I really...
no, you can't say, I don't want you to say who they are,
There's-
but I
there's
mean,
been a
just
few- There's a few active places.
where
here
it
in
seemed pretty
this area.
legitimately,
Yeah.
like it could be haunted. Well, Roswell, what was that like? Did you find anything, or was it,
Well, no, me and a friend of mine went down there. So I used to be with the MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, for several years.
Yeah.
And not always, everybody that's in that wants to go to Roswell. That's kind of
sure.
like the Mecca. So we went down there and saw the crash site and took a bunch of pictures. And pretty much that was about it. But being there was
just kind of cool? It was kind of like a history lesson in a way, more of a, like you said, like a mecca for UFO investigations. So that would be cool. But Dustin, we were talking earlier, the Limp Mansion. You've been to the Limp Mansion?
I've been to the Limp Mansion a few times, and that place is very active.
That's what I've heard. Can you tell me some of the things that happened when you were there?
You hear the disembodied voices all over the house, people walking, doors open and close.
I've heard
You're
that.
the only one in the place, and you hear what's going on.
Oh, man. I'm wondering if that's what we're going to hear. I also heard something, and I think it was Bob that had the picture outside
Yes.
the Mcpike mansion?
Yeah.
And can you tell us about that?
Well, we took it in 2001. My girlfriend took the picture. So we stopped at the dollar store to get a camera. And so you can get one that's not tampered with. It's best to get one this is back before digital cameras
Sure.
really came out. So I grabbed one at the dollar store, the sealed one, disposable one, and she just took a few pictures. But when we got back to town, the guy from Kmart that was developing the picture said, "Hey, come here, you got to see this." He said, "What is this in this picture?" Because he recognized the house. And it looked like, for better lack of words, a little girl standing in the window of the house.
And on the second story?
On the second story, and Sharon, the owner of the house, hadn't even got there because I'm notorious for showing up like an hour early for everything. So we're sitting there waiting, and we thought, well, we'll take some pictures. And that's the only one we got like that, and we weren't really expecting that. So.
And I heard there was no floor.
Well, there's actually a floor
but-
there at the time because we were standing in front of that same window, and she was talking about the legend that there was supposed to be a Stradivarius violin that was built into the house at one time.
Oh,
But nobody had
wow.
ever found it, and the people were in the house, tearing the house up, trying to find the violin.
Oh, okay. But, I've had other people tell me that they've taken pictures outside of the house, and there's a figure in a window up there, and there's no one going in and out of that house. At least it hasn't been for many, many, many years because they're not allowed to. And I don't think there's much flooring on the second floor now. So that's one of the reasons we're going to be pretty much relegated to the cellar for the most part, and maybe get to go around the ground floor a little bit. I don't know. We're going to have to find out about that. But, it's going to be very exciting. Now, I've heard that when I took a tour of the Alton Haunted Tour several years ago, and that place was by far the creepiest. And they had told us stories that people had died there. I think there might have been a murder, might have been a suicide, something going on there. So, has it seemed that most of the places where you have found some things that could be legitimate hauntings, that has been the case, that someone has passed away within the structure?
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a trapped energy, if you will.
Quite a bit of it, or
Yeah.
just the land itself, but then you can't really explain why it's haunted because you don't know the history of it.
Right.
The deaths have contributed a lot to it.
Well, that's what they say. I have friends whose relatives have passed away within their homes, and things happen afterwards, and it's not always a scary thing, and it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's kind of cool. It's kind of comforting in a way, especially if it was someone who's not particularly a bad person. So that's kind of cool. You can look at it that way. You can look at it as it might be a nice haunting, if you will. I guess I don't know. It's one way to.
Are you familiar with the Bell Witch haunting?
I'm not.
Because John Bell, with the Bell Witch legend, was the first person that was ever acknowledged by the government to be killed by an entity. And it's also
Really?
listed on a sign outside of Adams, Tennessee.
Oh my gosh! So what do they say happened? Do they scared to death or suffocated or?
I'm not really sure. There's a lot of speculation. We spent the weekend in Adams several years ago and talked to a lot of the townspeople that were kind of upset about the American haunting because if you've ever seen it, you know what the story was based on and why was supposed to happen. But apparently that's not the case.
It's not
That's not why Hollywood has a way of fabricating.
Oh, well, yeah, they have to make it more sensational. Yeah, well, that's kind of interesting, though, that they actually documented it as being killed by an entity. But have you ever had a case where you were on an investigation and you felt like you were pushed or shoved or scratched or anything along those lines?
I never have.
No. How about you, Dustin?
No.
No. Well, that's good. So I hope that doesn't happen tomorrow night. I've been on investigations with my friends who had a group, and I was I tag along as the skeptic, and someone said, oh, they got scratched, or they got I felt someone push me at the top of the stairs, and I don't know. I don't know if people's minds sometimes play tricks. I don't know if that's what they're really happened. I know I've watched a ghost hunter episode and seen some of those things, and I don't, it's on TV, so you got to take that into consideration. And they've shown playbacks where it looked like somebody's hood got pulled or whatnot. And have you ever felt anything like that? Any sort of?
No, that's all a lot of the TV. Actually, to be perfectly honest, now that I'm telling this in front of thousands of people, going ghost hunting is actually very boring when you're sitting there in the dark.
Yeah.
The only exciting part is when you're able to get home back to your comfort zone and listen to it on the recorder.
Right, and hopefully find something there after and go through hours of it. I would imagine that's a little.
It's not as glamorous as ghost hunting.
No. Well, they can condense it all down into an hour, and take out the best parts. And who knows how many investigations they have to go on to find something. And two, it's a TV show. If they want to keep the TV show going, sometimes things have to be sensationalized a little bit. But I'm glad to know that you guys, though, you seem legit. You're skeptical in a sense, but you have seen things, you've heard things. So we're not going in just assuming that something's going to happen. We're just going to go. We're going to hang out. We're going to have a good time and. Hopefully hold it together long enough. I have a feeling Roxy and myself will be, I have a feeling especially with Roxanne, we'll be scaring the bejesus out of her a little bit very easily, and especially with the rain that we're expecting, the cellar atmosphere, and just the creepiness of the grounds. Now, we were talking earlier, there's a cemetery on the grounds, right, behind the house?
Yes, behind the house there's a cemetery, and I do hope to get some EVP sessions going out there. See if I can pick something up.
Oh, sure. I know that the house has a very sort of a spooky history about it, and I want to say, now correct me if I'm wrong, I'd heard a story, maybe there was a crime of passion, a murder of passion that happened in the house, someone killed somebody, or a jealousy type thing, or infidelity, I don't know, and then someone had taken their life there. Now, I don't know, that could have been just something I heard and sensationalized, but kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of the ghost hauntings that you hear about. Now, Limp Mansion, what happened there? There was some of that going on, wasn't there? Some murder and
there was some suicides in the house, and that's what gets a lot of the activity going.
Yeah, because wasn't one of the Limp family members had lost their mind or something.
Yes.
And I've heard that sometimes I think it's one of the restrooms there. You go in and sometimes people have seen someone in there, and it looked as if they. Like a quick glance of someone hanging themselves or something like that. I've heard something along those lines in the Limp Mansion. And that's a place, too. You can go and you can spend the night. They lock you in at night.
Yes, they do.
They do. Oh, spooky. Well, that is very, very cool. You guys have a website that they can go to? Clinton County Paranormal Research Group?
On Facebook, it's Clinton County Paranormal Research. Just look us up, you'll find it.
All right, and then we can find some photos and things like that on there. And get a hold of them if you'd like to have a little investigation done yourselves, right? They can do that, right?
Yes, they can.
Through the Facebook page. And oh, that's very, very cool.
You can also contact Bob Rating at Overdrive Video on Facebook.
There you go. You do video photography as well, which is very handy in the investigation. So you've got to...
That's what got me started in photography, was ghost hunting a long time ago. So.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. And yeah, they can, they can reach you at overdriver64@yahoo.com. Get a hold of them on Facebook as well. And I've got Bob's information right here if you'd like to know more about the photography and video production. And I know you work with some music videos and things like that as well, like a little music background with your dad. And you started at a young age with that as well?
When I was born, 5 minutes later, my mom would have gave birth to me in the studio.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of like that, yeah.
So there you go. That's it. So where it all started, and it led you to this. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited. You guys excited? Are you
It's gonna be a good
pumped?
night.
It's going to be fun. We're going to have a shaman with us. We're going to have Troy Taylor with us. He's authored several books on the subject, and in particular on the Mcpike Mansion. So he's probably the one we need to we'll get some more info on the history of the house itself and find out what we can expect. And, oh, I'm scared. I don't know. I want to thank you guys for coming in, though. I don't know, is there anything else? Dave, is there any questions you have for me?
None yet.
No, I'm good. I just thank you for having us. So I
No
appreciate it.
problem. Thanks for coming in, Dustin. Bob, it's great meeting you guys, and I look forward to tomorrow night. We're going to have a lot of fun, and it's good to know that you got a skeptical bone in your body, and that it's not going to be all, oh, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? It's not going to be any of that, because, yeah.
It won't be like Ghost
No,
Adventures.
no, you're not going to, oh, yeah, you're not going to cuss out the ghost or anything,
No,
are you,
I
like
promise.
that?
It's actually more, I would say this would be more about safety also because of the situation. You got to take that into account first of all, more than anything.
Oh, definitely, because, yeah, you cannot come out and hang out with us. It's just our limited group here, because mainly for safety concerns. And it's not a good idea. So do not do that. Just listen to us on the radio, listen to us online at WDLJ.com. You can stream that from wherever the internet is available. And we'll be rebroadcasting some of this on Halloween Day as well. So do not try to find us. Just don't do it. We'll sick the ghost on you or something. I don't know. Hopefully they won't. We'll just redirect them in your direction. So don't do that. But we're going to have a great time out there. I want to thank you guys once again for coming in. I look forward to tomorrow. Everyone, tune in for that. It's going to start at 10 p.m. and we're going to stick around until the morning. So I don't know how well we'll be handling the day shifts on Thursday, but I guess you guys have the day off the next day, going to be able to sleep
Yes,
a little
we
bit.
do.
I work every day pretty much on videos and stuff, so no.
But you got your own schedule. I'm a little jealous right now. I may have to call in sick. Shh, don't tell them. But we're going to get that all going tomorrow. Thanks again, guys. We're going to get back into the music right now with Cheap Trick.